What's going on, everyone? I'm here with Felipe with LNG Exterior Solutions. Welcome, Felipe. I appreciate you joining me on the business breakthrough. So tell me, man, tell me a little bit about the business. Tell me what's going really well and what's an area that you feel like could use some improvement.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Felipe. I'm based out of Minnesota, just outside of the metro area. LNG Exterior Solutions started about 3 years ago. And we started, for the most part, just pressure washing. And then after a little bit, I connected with a few individuals that did painting, and I got into it a couple years ago. And it's just been from there. Mostly I did interior painting with another guy, and he has his own thing going on. As a sub, it was just more, we just collabed together, and we just got a house done. Made this, he made that, but it wasn't really anything special. It was just whatever came our way. But last year we made the transition over to dedicate time to painting, and I got myself better tools, hang out with better people, got into a better systems and whatnot. So yeah, I was something I can highlight for me that's working really well. It's this word of mouth, and my current with my current system of the business, which is mostly window cleaning and pressure washing, has been a good addition. Gotten customers to come in that we currently already have in our system, right? And I recently jumped into DripJobs, and it's been a cool experience to try it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
great,
things
man.
that we
It's
can
awesome.
improve, things that we can improve is outside of those contacts that we currently have. How can I bring more leads in that are not
Yeah.
um,
How much revenue are you doing?
if we break it down to 12 months, we're just shy of 7,000 a month. Um,
How much?
7 grand a month, and it's just
Seven
myself.
grand a month.
Yeah, right now. So
So seven. So about you're doing under 100 grand a year total in
yeah, we
services.
did about 97, 98.
Yeah. Well, this is because you just started painting,
Yeah,
right? So that's decent for washing and small ticket. So these are two totally different businesses, man.
for sure.
And I think one of the things that, first let me ask you this. What is your goal? Like, what do you want to accomplish as a business owner? Like, fast forward 5 years from now, like where do you see yourself?
I would like to see myself managing a business instead of being the operator in the business. I taken on myself out of the window cleaning business. I run that with a couple employees that I do full time. The painting, I feel a little bit not so confident that I would say the systems in place to hire like a painter and a helper.
Yeah, it's just simply because of your confidence,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I
yeah,
think
for sure.
that's what it comes down to.
Yep,
It's like it'd be hard for me to hire a chef because I don't know how to cook.
exactly. So for the
But
most part, my wife and I do the painting right now, and we're trying
right.
to,
Well, you're learning.
yeah,
I
we're
like
learning.
that. I think it's good. You're learning what customers like, what they don't like. You're learning the flow of the job. You're learning timing. All this is good.
Yeah,
But Felipe, man, I'll tell you this. You have to look at business from the lens of imagine if you just purchased this painting business. That's the mindset, right? Let's say you were an investor of this painting business, and let's say that money was of no objective, right? Let's say you had 100 grand and you're an investor into the business. What would you do if you had 100 grand right now to put toward this painting business?
in my current stage, I probably invested in a way to get more leads.
What would tell me what you would do? I need to know. Let's say me and you are business partners right now. Let's say we're business partners. Let's have that conversation. I'm saying, Felipe, here's 100 grand. What are we doing with it?
I would like to see a little more marketing done, build a brand.
All right, those are two different things. I need to know how you're going to spend the money.
Good question. I'm not so sure.
Good. So this is your blind spot, right? See how easy that was? And that's good. This is why we're here, right? So, you know, marketing is like this big umbrella, but there's so many things underneath it that you need to understand. There's different channels to get your name out. This is no different than your cleaning business. And this has absolutely nothing to do with your experience in actually painting. This is just your experience as a business owner in getting your company's name out there, right? First of all, have you ever had a toothache?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you go when you had that toothache?
Well, straight to the dentist.
Did you go to the primary care doctor?
No,
Why?
she's not a dentist.
Not a dentist, not a specialist.
Right.
You wanted to go right to the person that could solve your problem.
Right.
And how easy was it for you? Let me ask you this. Did you just drive around from building to building to knock on doors to say, hey, are you a dentist?
No.
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 What'd you do?
And I went to jump in Google and find my dentist.
Google. Okay. So you put in a keyword And Google looked at all the possibilities of every business in the Google landscape. And what did it do? It populated dentists. Right. So we know that keywords are important in today's economy more than they've ever been. 20 years ago, the term exterior solutions would have been fine because there wasn't a such thing as keywords. There wasn't search engine optimization. There might have been at a small scale, but the market didn't adopt it. They would actually go to I don't know if you remember this, we used to have the yellow pages, right?
Yes, yes, yep.
And what did you used to see? A1 exterior, right?
Hey,
Remember that? ABC, right? So even back then, companies would manipulate their company's name in order to be seen because you're selling a need. And when people are searching, they want their need to be met. And they use different mediums like Google to help find that need faster, right? So what I'm telling you is you need to have a good understanding of the way people buy. And what you want to do is you want to position your business in a way, in the same way those guys changed their name to A1 or ABC. We need to adjust our name to identify what it is that we do, or you're going to be at a significant disadvantage when it comes to marketing. Does that make sense?
yes.
Have you thought about it?
Not really. No.
Okay, so you need to decide because the thing about it is you could be really good at a bunch of things and stay where you're at, or you could be really good at one thing and scale,
Right.
right? And if you pay attention to the different businesses you interact with on a daily basis, right? It's the same principle. We just need to apply it to what we're doing. And the reason this is difficult is because under the big picture of house, there's so many things we know you can do. We know you can clean it. We know you can, seal the pavers. We know you can do all these little different things. And now we know you can paint. But the thing is you've got to be good at saying no if you want to say yes to the things that are going to help scale this business. And that's painting.
Absolutely.
You're going to, the effort that hopefully, I think now you're seeing it,
Yep.
is that it's a lot less effort to make a lot more money in the painting business. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you're the only one to discover that?
No.
Okay. So if you're going to play in our game, you need to play by our rules. And at the end of the day, if there's painting customers out there that want painting, they're not going for a company called Exterior Solutions.
Right.
First of all, you're eliminating the interior aspect of painting, which is 50% of the market. So we need to change the name. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
That requires you to go all in on painting. And if you can adopt that mindset, now we're talking. Now you can become a specialist. What that means is one of two things. Number one, that means you're all in. So the mindset's going to change. Number two, you said to me, hey, I'm having issues with hiring people. I'm not sure about which way to go. Tell me about what it is that you feel like is stopping you from finding someone else aside from your wife to produce painting jobs.
Again, one thing that I mentioned at the beginning was one of the things that's going great. It's those individuals who already have me in their phones, right? It's a contact. We visit their homes. We're already in their homes, right? 200-300 people. We're already in their homes every year. And it's a conversation. Last year, could I close more deals in painting if I was the one cleaning? Yes, because I would have made the communication with those individuals. But my employees, they go there to clean windows. They want to get, we want to get 3-4 houses done. Networking is not an option at that time. It was not an option, especially with the painting. So to me, is this not one, the reason why I'm here is, I don't have enough leads to put in front of those individuals.
Right.
We explore a few options and maybe.
So you have a good base. Your base is word of mouth. That's great. That's good enough to keep you busy by yourself, because if you get 4 leads a month, that's 1 job a week. And to you, it's like, hey, this pile of customers that I've worked for and done great for have homes that will eventually need to be painted. Awesome. Great strategy. You have no control over that, though.
For sure.
Right?
0. Yep.
We're just hoping that after this call, someone that you know in your Rolodex calls you and wants an estimate. And most of them probably don't even know that you do painting.
For sure.
That's another issue. So this is okay. I mean, I get it. You're in their homes. You're offering these extended services as an add-on. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, from a business perspective, as a business owner and as a CEO, you need to look at everything that you can control. right? And if you can't control the outcome, especially something as important as marketing, that puts you in extreme disadvantage. So what do we need to do? We just need to diversify it. So you mentioned to me earlier, you said, hey, when I needed that dentist, what did I do? I just went to Google. Have you Googled painters in your area yet?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you know off the top of your head how many reviews the most popular company has?
No, no.
Something to think about because that's the number you should be going after and add 25% to it. Because what you need to be doing is you need to be chasing that top spot in your area. There's no better way to scale a business. That might take 4 or 5 years of doing great work, but it's just something you can focus on is hitting those reviews, getting those reviews to be about painting. People read them and they don't want to hear that you're doing window cleaning when they're looking for a painting business because a painting business is an entirely different animal, as I'm sure you're learning. So that's Google. Where else could people be exposed to your brand? Where else?
So I mean, social media, right?
Social media.
Yep.
Yeah, they're on there. Every customer you will ever work for knows about social media, whether they're on it or not. This is good news for you. So we got to get your brand on Facebook. But you got to understand there's a difference between a Google lead and a Facebook lead. Okay.
Yes.
What would you say the difference is?
Google seems a little more aggressive on hiring than Facebook.
Aggressive on hiring, not as loyal, right? Why? Because they could just go hit the back button and get another option as quickly as they can, blink,
Yeah.
right? So, but the intent is high. That means they're serious about buying, right? Do you have a website yet for your painting
Yes.
business?
Not for the painting minutes. I have a website for my company, not as
Okay.
for painting minutes.
So that's where we get to branding, right? So the branding, really the goal of branding is to, I would say this, if you create a good job marketing, they're going to go to your website and they're going to look for alignment there, right? The website isn't going to drive business. People aren't just going to put in your website address like we do apple.com. It's just not going to happen. What happens in your painting business though is they're going to look at that website and they're going to say, I can trust this company. I'll put in my information. I'll give them my address. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that you should be thinking about. But again, the social media aspect, you nailed it. The social media, very low intent. You're creating the customer, right? In other words, someone's just scrolling on Facebook and then they see an ad of you, let's just say, painting with your wife. Hey, give us an opportunity. We do free estimates. Okay, well, you know what? They seem nice. I didn't know any painters before this, and I'm tired of the color of my home. Let me see what it is to get an estimate. That's not somebody that I need to get this done. I'm moving into a home. I need an estimate today. Nobody's waiting for a Facebook ad to come through. So again, so that okay, tell me now how you would spend it.
I would spend it on SEO, building. Yeah. I mean, how can, yeah.
So let me challenge you on that because I think as a business owner, your job is to make sure you are a good steward of that resource that you get, right? Going all in on something is never a good idea because the thing about it is right now you're all in on word of mouth. Just because there's not money involved, that simply means that your entire business is dependent on if word of mouth works. And the same thing's going to happen with SEO. It could not work. And it could take a long time. You have companies that are paying other companies thousands of dollars a month to get them to rank at the top of the keywords. So you're competing against that. So what you want to always think about with resources is diversifying because there's other options too. So I'll give you an example. I would spend the 100K. First of all, 25K would go directly to Facebook. 25K would go directly to Google SEO and Google local service ads, which means you get to be put at the top of the list without having to do any work, right? Pretty cool, right? You could just pay and boom, you're one of the top picks, right? Obviously, another 20K, 25K will have to go to management of those avenues because me as a business owner, I have enough to worry about. I don't want to worry about having to make the ads. I don't want to have to worry about tweaking the audiences. I'm going to actually probably save myself from wasting resources by having someone who's a professional do this for me. That leaves me with K to spend on marketing. What am I going to do with that? Well, I'm going to make sure I got a website. Number one, got to have a good website. That's branding. I'm going to spend money on a good logo. I'm going to rebrand my company to do nothing but painting. It just so happens in painting, I want to upsell window cleaning. We could do that. I'm okay with that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a lead aggregator like Angie Leads or Thumbtack or Nextdoor, and I'm going to pay them per lead to send me leads. Because in my first year of business, I want to get, first of all, that confidence we talked about. We want to make sure that there's a steady flow always so we can promise somebody work for 40 hours, right? That's number one. We want to make sure that confidently, don't worry about it. We're going to make sure that there's work. Number two, Felipe, you need reps. You need as many reps selling paint jobs as humanly possible. You can't go a week without doing 4 or 5 estimates. You need to be the best salesman of painting jobs. It doesn't matter how many leads we generate. You need to understand the buying mentality of someone who wants a painting job. You need to understand all their pain points. You need to understand their desires. You need to understand what they're looking for, the outcome. You need to understand the pricing model. You need to understand the delivery of the price. You need to understand all that stuff, and it just takes time. And you can't either way. Let's say it takes you 100 estimates to master painting sales, right? Let's say that it's either going to take you a year to get those 100 estimates or 2 months. That's how you need to look at it. And you don't need to be worried about making any money in the first year. Who cares? Right now, the goal is test the model, get the right team members in place. And honestly, man, like your first year, you could do 100K and be completely happy and feel good and be like, wow, that was good. Now you're going to see the game and you're going to say, all I got to do is get more leads. All I got to do is get more painters and I can double my revenue. That's the game.
Right, right.
Any feedback on any of that, man? What do you think
No,
about that?
absolutely. I mean, you break it down to four of the things that, it's always out there. I mean, you watch videos from different individuals and you see, and, put money here, put money here, put money here, put money here, Yeah. I mean, leads, it's, I spend a lot of time reaching out, right? The off season comes in November. Minnesota winters are crazy. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
significant. I mean,
terrible.
so you spend a lot of time, a lot of downtime, and that's what I want to avoid. That's what the
Well,
reason.
your service limits you to the outside. In
Right.
painting, you have the inside, right? There's first of all, like infrastructure wise, mentality. I love you sign up for DripJobs. I think that's a big step just because the administrative side is just as important as production when it comes to leads and accessing information and making sure that you're following up with people. I would say this, who's doing your payroll right now for the cleaning business?
Myself.
And what are you running it through? QuickBooks?
QuickBooks, yeah.
Okay. So anything you can do to speed up that process is going to be helpful. I like Gusto. Gusto is, in my opinion, a little bit easier to manage and work with. Also, when it comes to hiring, I think it's going to be risky in the beginning. I think you got to understand right now you're keeping your wife busy, right?
Right.
Well, at the end of the day, couldn't you just swap her out for a painter?
Yeah, absolutely.
With the amount of work that you're getting as we sit here and talk, like that's the mindset. Is like the goal isn't for you and your wife to be painting. The goal is for you and your wife to be looking at your phone, checking the numbers, giving directions, and going about your day.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we're aiming for. You got to know what we're aiming for. We're aiming for financial freedom. Is that true?
Absolutely. 100%.
Freedom from the oppressive nature of a lack of finances. And you have to go through mastering money in order to be the master of the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
So how do we master the money? Well, we spend with faith. We invest in ourselves, in our business, and then we align our actions in a way that helps us realize our goals. So for example, if you have some money set aside right now, let's just look at it like this. You have two choices. You either go all in on painting or you try to do everything and hold on to the money that you have. When there's a clear path to success in painting, you're going to make more money. And it all depends on how you spend that money and how you allocate those resources. I have resources for you. I have a Facebook guy I can connect you with. I can get you a website. I can connect you with a Google guy, right? I have the resources. You have the money. You have to be willing to spend it, and you have to be willing to be coached if you want to speed up your learning curve. Absolutely. Now you're here, which says that, hey, you're somebody that you're open to advice. You're open to being told, hey, from somebody that's been doing it. That's great. But if you want to get there fast, you need ongoing support and coaching. This is just a one-time session. and I have a resource of that. Now, not only that, you need to connect with the industry, man. Like, this is an all-in thing. Oh, I love that you're trying to start a painting business. I think it's the best business in the trades, personally, you know.
Yep. And to be fair and honest, when I signed up for this, we were going through the whole idea of we're going all in and painting. We're gonna make the switch. We're gonna do it. We did talk about a name change, and the current marketing company that we have. Well, it's a little, they were not so sure, of what happened, but we understand that their name, that's basically what we did prior to painting. We created solutions for the exteriors, right? We just needed a name in front of it. Yeah, we talked about it. Didn't really put a lot of thoughts on it because the marketing kind of shut it down. But it makes sense. It only makes sense. You're gonna Google something. If you need a tire, you're not gonna Google. Yeah,
Business,
you're gonna use the
business,
tire shop,
business, man.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just business is business. It doesn't matter what it is that we do. Well, we just so happen to paint, but the principles are exactly the same in every sector of our economy and the way people think. No one wants to not work with a specialist. I don't know. Have you ever been to the doctor and you got the nurse practitioner? Well, that happens sometimes, right? Like, you think you're going to the doctor and you get the nurse
Oh, yeah,
practitioner.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you get the PA, right? And it's like, I'd rather have the doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the
It's gonna cost
mindset.
me the same.
Same amount,
Yeah.
right? I'd rather see that same amount. I'm going to be painting. I might as well go with the company that specializes in painting, because naturally the expectation is what? They are innovative. They are ahead of the curve. This is all they focus on,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Tesla and Waymo. You ready? So I don't know if you know Waymo's out there, right? I don't know if you have Waymo in Minnesota or not, but Waymo is self-driving, kind of like taxi service, right? That's what they do. And it's evident at this moment in time that Tesla cannot compete with them, because Waymo isn't selling cars. They're selling self-driving
Service.
taxi services, which is all they do. Whereas Tesla sells cars that just so happens to have a self-driving function. In other words, if the only thing Waymo wakes up every day and focuses on is how to make their self-driving technology better, whereas Tesla wakes up and the first problem they have to solve is how to sell their cars. And the second problem they have to solve is how to make them drive by themselves. That means that the attention and focus is split into two. Is that necessarily a bad thing? No, but it won't get them to optimization faster than the company that's focusing on just one. And as a small business owner, when we talk about Tesla, they have teams and departments and freaking analysts and all these people focusing on each of these avenues. You as a business owner, it's you. And that is a big bottleneck. You don't have the capacity to go and sell an exterior cleaning job and then shift gears and then sell a painting job, unless that business is completely independent of you, especially when you're starting out. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to run into a roadblock, because starting and launching a painting business deserves every bit of your attention and focus. And that's why when you change the name, you change the identity, you change the greeting on the phone, you change the website, you change the message, you change the pricing structure, you start operating with a different mentality. It's like, I'm going all in on this. And guess what? You might lose money the first 2 months. Then we talk about that. If you want to master the money, you have to be willing to let it go. That's a CEO's mindset. And the next thing you know, in 2 years from now, you might have a multi-million-dollar painting business. It's happened. I've seen it. It's just from the people that go all in.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I hope that was helpful, man. I love to see your growth. I have some resources I'll share with you after this if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'll shoot you a message. And yeah, was this helpful?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, we were coming in here. I was coming in here very open-minded, to listen and learn, and I good stuff, good notes. Yeah, the name change was something that we visit, but not really consider too much, but it only makes sense. I mean, yeah.
Keywords are important more now than they've ever been. I mean, when you look at a company's name, it's their identity, especially in home service. Like, Apple does not sell fruit, I mean, that's different. It's a different ball game. They need simplicity. home service, we need to know what you do. We're going right for the specialist. So all the above, man. So let's connect later on, man. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope
No,
this was
thanks, Dave.
helpful, and we'll
Yeah,
see you maybe hopefully soon. Come on back and we'll hear about your growth.
will do. Will do. Appreciate it.